Study Section 2. English Phonotactics, Sequencing of English Phonemes. Introduction. Every language has ways in which sounds are strung together to form words. In this study section, you will learn about how sounds are joined together to form English words. We must not forget that no two languages are the same. Learning outcomes for study section 2. When you have studied this section, you should be able to define and use correctly all of the key words printed in bold. Demonstrate knowledge of possible syllable structures for English. Demonstrate the knowledge of possible and impossible syllable structure. Correctly identify cases of consonant clustering. Identify cases of silent letters. Demonstrate knowledge of the pronunciation of English plural forms, s, es, verb forms that requires s, es, and past tense morpheme, d, ed. Differentiate between the simple syllabic system of most Nigerian languages and the complex syllabic system of English. What is phonotactics? Phonotactics is a study of sound sequences. It is a study of how sounds are arranged in a particular language. It is good to emphasize at this junction that the knowledge of a language goes beyond knowing its phonetic inventory. It also goes beyond knowing its individual phonemes. It extends as far as knowing how sounds are strung, that is, added together in that language. Phonotactics is a study of sound sequences. It is a study of how sounds are arranged in a particular language. It is good to emphasize at this junction that the knowledge of a language goes beyond knowing its phonetic inventory. It also goes beyond knowing its individual phonemes. It extends as far as knowing how sounds are strung, that is, added together in that language. It is good to note here, however, that most phonotactic analyses are based on the syllable. Therefore, the constraints we talk about here are often related to how segments, i.e., phonemes, are ordered into syllables in a particular language. Do not forget that there are different kinds of words as we learned in ENG 202: monosyllabic, disyllabic, and polysyllabic words. You really need to be able to differentiate words and syllables to have a good grasp of what we are discussing here. Man is monosyllabic word. It is a syllable. It is a word. Manage is a disyllabic word. It is a word. It has 2 syllables. Managerial is a polysyllabic word. It has 4 syllables. A good student of phonology should be able to differentiate between words and syllables. Int, monosyllable, a word with 1 syllable. Disyllable, a word with 2 syllables. Polysyllable, a word with 3 or more syllables. Now, let's go on with our explanation. It has often been observed that no language allows phonemes to be put together arbitrarily. For instance, a native speaker of English can easily identify with the sequence of phonemes and the word strength described, and state with confidence that it is an English word. This is because he has an instinct, i.e., a natural way of knowing about what is wrong or right in his mother tongue. This instinct is also called intuition. He knows the possible ways in which the sounds, phonemes, segments could be strung together in his native language without being taught in school. Do not forget that all the rules of pronunciation that we learn as second language users in the school are naturally known by those who speak English as a mother tongue. There is a universal tendency for certain sounds to occur in several languages as distinct phonemes, but the pattern of stringing the sounds together may differ from one language to another. For instance, do, S-T-R occur in Yoruba language. They cannot follow one another in quick succession as we have in the initial consonant sequencing of the English word straight. This is because Yoruba language does not permit consonant clustering, whether initially, medially, or finally. Consonant clusters do not occur in the Yoruba language. It is important for you to know that the knowledge of such facts as we have discussed here is important in phonotactics, the study of sound sequences. Int. English contains consonant clusters, but Yoruba does not. Part of the linguistic competence of the speaker of any language is to know of the sequential rules of a language. A speaker of any language should be able to identify a string of sounds as possible or impossible arrangement or order in that language. Words such as sig, nib, though constituted by possible phonemes of English, in brackets, K, L, I, B, N, are not acceptable English words because they defy the possible patterning of English words. One's knowledge of a language, therefore, tells one that certain strings of phonemes are permissible and that some are not. This knowledge, for a modern tongue speaker, is unconscious and intuitive. Children acquire this rule when they acquire the language, just as they acquire the phonemes. For second language speakers, such as Nigerians, this knowledge has to be learned in school. For instance, do, ing, occurs in both Ashanti and English. It can start an Ashanti word, but never an English word. Ing, no, is an Ashanti word, whereas such sequencing allowing ing to occur initially is not permissible in English. It can also occur medially or finally, as in the word sing. Also, the word W and J in slash brackets will never occur finally in English, though they could occur initially and medially. Int. Non-native speakers of a language learn in school features that native speakers naturally know. Let us look at the English syllable structure. The first thing we need to know is that the English syllable structure is complex when compared to some other world languages. It is said to be complex because of the nature of the arrangement of syllables in the language. It is possible to have as many 3 initial consonants, C3 in brackets, and 4 final consonants, C4 in brackets, and an indispensable vowel, V in bracket, that is CCCV, CCCC. C3 in brackets, V, C4 in brackets is a summary of the syllable structure of English. This implies that you could find an English word with as many as 3 consonants clustering at the beginning as its onset, and as many of 4 consonants at the end as its coda. You can also find an English syllable with no onset and no coda, but it must always have a vowel, nucleus. Onset here refers to the initial consonant before the vowels, nucleus to the vowel itself, and coda to the final consonant, i.e. after the vowel. It has been observed that in most human languages, the vowel is often the obligatory part of the syllable, while the consonants, whether initially, onset, or finally coda, are optional. The vowel is therefore referred to as nucleus because it is believed that it gives life to the syllable. It is the peak of the syllable. We must never forget that the phonotactics of any language is rule-governed. Sounds do not arrange arbitrarily in any human language. They are arranged following particular orders. When an English syllable has consonant clusters initially, i.e., when 3 consonants form the onset of an English syllable, the first sound will be the /S. The second sound will be any of the voiceless plosives, i.e., in /P, T, K. And the third will be a liquid. The initial clustering cannot follow any other pattern but this. Diagram of S. In the first diagram, P, T, K. I, W, R, J. Now, let us look at some possible syllable structures for English. Not all the structures are listed here because there are many. However, majority are presented. V, as in A, E, A, I. CV, as in go, to, po, cow, ko, ka, to, p. CVC, as in rat, this, zip, gap, cap. CVCC, as in prank, kennel, petal, panel, knuckle. CVCCC, as in stinks. CVCCCC, text, cyst. CCV, as in try, play, feel, fly. CCVC, as in brag, fridge, cringe. CCVCC, as in spunk, stink, scalp. CVCCC, as in sinks, inked, tinks. CCCV, as in square, spray. CVCCC, as in cyst, text. VC, as in an, ache, aim, aid, aid, all. VCC, able, ample, edge, etc. VCCC, angle. Possible and impossible syllables. We already know that there are particular ways in which each language structures its phonemes to form syllables. We also know that this structuring are based on rules, not arbitrarily done. However, sometimes we may come across some words that look like a word from a language we know, but still sound or look strange to us. An accidental gap is a possible word in a language that is not a word of that language. In English, SPL can start a word as in the word splash. A nonsensical word like splish, which follows this pattern but is not an English word, is therefore an accidental gap. It is a word that could pass for a good in a language but does not have a meaning in that language. These kinds of words are often explored by advertisers to name products and services. For instance, Top Dam Publishers, Tope and Damilola, Yoruba names, when clipped and grafted, resulted in Top Dam, which, though not an English word, sounds like English. ITQ. What is likely to be the reaction of a first language users of English to these sentences? I just bought a beautiful blick. I just bought a beautiful blick. ITA, though not an English word, the first sentence has a pattern that follows the possible sequence of an English word, while the second does not. He is most likely going to tell you he doesn't know the meaning of the first word, but the second word is not. There are other sequencing rules that are obeyed by users of English. An English word beginning with a sound in slash bracket voiced must be followed by a vowel. Therefore, we have church, change, challenge, etc. The sound in brackets I and in bracket R must be followed by vowels when they occur initially, e.g., liver, river, rose, lost, etc. As explained earlier on, the sound in bracket ing must not begin an English word. It can only occur initially and finally. It is also good to note that the phonotactic studies of English have come up with some interesting findings. Let us look at some of them. It has been discovered that certain sequences seems to be associated with particular feelings or human characteristics. For no obvious reason, words such as bump, rump, lump, mumps, clumps, and others are associated with large, blunt shapes. You will also find a whole family of words ending with a plosive and syllabic slash bracket I, all having meanings to do with clumsy, awkward, or difficult actions. Muddle, straddle, fumble, fiddle, cuddle, buckle, in brackets, verb, struggle, wriggle. English consonant clusters. Earlier, we discussed the patterns of English syllables and the fact that up to 3 sounds could start an English syllable, while up to 4 consonants can end it. Therefore, an English osset may have up to 3 optional consonants, C3, while the coda could have up to 4 consonants, C4. The case of consonants following in quick succession without a vowel coming between them is called consonant clustering. This we already discussed as very common in the English language. We have also learned that when consonant clusters at the beginning of the English syllable, it has its ordering rule. It is, however, pertinent to know that sounds and letters do not have a one-to-one correlation in English. Sometimes, one of the sounds in the cluster may not be represented by a letter, but only present in sound form. Let us look at the following examples together. There are 2 consonant letters visible as clustering in the word squeeze, but when pronounced, there are 3 consonant sounds clustering in the word. In slash bracket, SKW, long I, Z, squeeze. Also, in the word text, there are 3 visible consonant letter clustering, but when pronounced, 4 consonant letters are realized as clustering, TEKS, TS, slash brackets. We also have instances where 3 letters consonant clusters are produced as 2 sound consonant clusters. Let us look at the following example together. Shranks as SHR, 3 consonant letter clustering at the beginning of the word, but when produced, the 3 consonants are realized as SH-R. In slash bracket, she sound and R, which are 2 sounds. Another example is the word sing, where the 2 letters NG, ing, are produced as a single word, ing. Int. Spelling and pronunciation are often divergent, different in English. In many cases, what is written, spelled, is not what is pronounced, and or what is pronounced is not what is written, that is, spelled. The fact that most Nigerian languages do not have consonant clusters in them makes it challenging for most Nigerians to use the consonant clusters of English. More often than not, some of the sounds are dropped off to make the word easier to pronounce. Therefore, many produce the word text as tests or tests. This may affect meaning and cause confusion or misunderstanding, since the meaning of text different from tests. However, this is not a challenge that cannot be overcome with constant practice and cautious speaking and reading. Examples of some English words with consonant clusters are given below. English consonant clusters: initial, medial, final. Scrap, mixture, binds. Square, extreme, glimpse. Shrunk, resignation, disc. Quit, malignant, attempt. Dwindle, reaction, mask. Blue, anchor, drenched. Twice, expect, respondents. Splash, respect, stopped. Spurious, assistance, dumped. ITQ. Why would a Yoruba speaker change bread to buredi to make it a Yoruba word? ITA. Most Nigerian languages do not have consonant clusters in them. Consequently, when an English word such as bread is to be loaned into Yoruba, vowels would be systematically introduced to separate the clustering consonants. That account for BR that becomes bure. Consonants do not occur at the end of Yoruba words. In the situation of a loan, consequently, a vowel is placed behind the consonant that ends the word in the original language. That accounts for the D that becomes D. English silent letters. As we have continued to emphasize in the spoken English, phonetics and phonology courses, there is no one-to-one correlation between English words and letters. One of the major characteristics of English that makes it different from most Nigerian languages is the fact that some letters which are written are not pronounced. These are called silent letters. They are there in the written word but not realized as any sound. When you spell such word, the silent letters must be included. However, they must not be included in the pronunciation. What makes knowing these silent letters a bit challenging is that they are not consistently one sound, and we cannot predict them from particular position in English words. E.g., the letter H in quote in owls is to be produced while the letter H in R is silent. Someone may ask the question, why the inconsistency? The answer is simply that the English writing system is a bit challenging to predict. We should therefore be very ready to look for the right pronunciation of English words and practice constantly to master them. Now, let us look at some English words that have silent letters in them. The letters in bold forms are silent in them. H in R, H in honest, H in honorable, H in honesty, H in forehead, T in pestle, T in wrestle, T in whistle, T in soften, T in listen, T in charlotte, T in ballot, G in gnash, G in gnome, G in gnat, G in gnal, G in gnal, K in no, K in knack, K in nicked, K in need, K in knickers, P in Sam, P in psychology, P in psych, P in psychiatrist, P in pneumonia, B in bomb, B in lamb, B in thumb, B in comb, B in plumb, L in yoke, L in talk, L in work, L in palm, L in arc, G in sign, G in align, G in malign, N in condemn, N in damn, N in solemn, P in empty, P in receipts, S in chasers. Looking through the table above, you must have discovered some words with silent letters that you have been pronouncing. There are many other words that are not included here, but that we also need to observe and avoid pronouncing their silent letters. The pronunciation of English plural forms: S, ES, verb forms that requires S, ES, and past tense morpheme D, ED. The pronunciation of English plural form S, ES, and verb forms that require S, ES. As part of the phonotactics of English, it is good for us to know the variation that we need to observe when we realize the plural form of English nouns that add S or ES, as well as the verb forms that take S or ES to agree with the subject. We must have learned in our grammar class that the regular way of changing to the plural form of a noun is to add the suffix X to the word. E.g., mat becomes mats. We also know that when we use E, she, John, or any name at all, and it, we should add S or ES to the verb. If it is in the present tense form, e.g., he gives alms to the poor. She loves to dance. John likes fish. It lives in the jungle. This is regular because there are other forms such as child, singular, children, plural, but the addition of s is the most frequently occurring form, so it is often said to be regular. The s that is joined to the noun to change it to plural form is not pronounced as the same sound all the time. There are 3 different ways of pronouncing it, which depends on the sound, not letter, that end the noun to which it is joined. The 3 forms are in slant brackets, S, Z, and IZ. In slant brackets, S, after nouns and verbs that end with voiceless sounds, e.g., pick plus s is called to picks, P-I-K-S. K, the last sound of pick, is a voiceless sound, so s should be pronounced as s. Z, after nouns and verbs that end with voiced consonants, e.g., rob plus s is called to rubs. The last sound of rob is a voice sound, so s should be pronounced as z. Z, after nouns and verbs that end with vowels, e.g., star plus s is called to stars. The last sound of star is a vowel, which is an automatically voice sound, so s should be pronounced as z. Is, iz, after s, z. Sh sounds, e.g., search plus es is called to searches. The last sound of search is similar in pronunciation to s and z, so I is inserted between the 2 sounds. How do we know the correct form for a noun we interpluralizing? It is easy. Do not forget that sounds tend to be modified by the environment in which they occur. The first step is to see if the noun ends with a voiceless consonant. If it does, the option is s, which is also voiceless, e.g., t is a voiceless sound. Therefore, Matt will take the plural form s. Does the noun end with a voiced consonant? If it does, choose z, e.g., the last sound of a teacher is a vowel. He, since all vowels are voiced, the option will be z. However, if it ends with s, z, she, then take the option iz, e.g., matches. Let us take a quick look at the voice and voiceless sounds of English. English sounds, voiceless consonants, voiced consonants and vowels. Under voiceless consonants, P, T, K, F, S. She sound, H. Under voiced consonants and vowels, voiced consonants, B, D, G, V, D, Z, M, N, ing, L, R, W, J. Vowels. All vowels are automatically voiced. Long I, short A, long R, U, J, etc. The above is a table of the voiced and voiceless sounds of English. Now, let us take a look at the table indicating which of the 3 options should be used in particular contexts. Had S in slat bracket after any noun or verb that ends with any of the sounds below. Add Z in slang bracket after any noun or verb that ends with any of the sounds below. Add IZ after any of the sounds below. Voiceless consonants. P, T, K, F, H. Voiced consonants. B, D, G, V, M, N, ing, L, R, W, J, J. Vowels. All vowels are automatically voiced. Long I, short I, E, short E, long A, long U, long J, etc. These sounds are similar to S and Z in pronunciation. S and Z. Practice with the following. S, tips, cats, coughs, packs. Z, beats, sings, gives, pats, beans. Z, stars, praise, rose, boys, hairs. IZ, watches, judges, sizes, brush, badges. The pronunciation of the past tense morpheme D, ED. As we learned with the plural morpheme realization, so also there is variation in the realization of the past tense morpheme in English. The regular way of showing that the action of the verb was performed in the past is to add D or ED to the verb, e.g. search, searched, rub or rubbed, cough or coughed, etc. However, there are other irregular forms such as swim or swam, teach or taught, go or went. But we are concerned here with the pronunciation of the regular forms that take the suffixes D, ED. The suffixes D and ED that are joined to the verb to change it to past tense form are not pronounced as the same sound all the time. There are 3 different ways of pronouncing them depending on the sound, not letter, that ends the verb to which they are joined. These are T, D, and id, id. Diagram of ed. T. After verbs that end with a voiceless sounds, e.g., picked. Pick plus ed is called to picked. K. The last sound of pick is a voiceless sound, so ed should be pronounced as t. D. After verbs that end with voice sounds, e.g., rub plus ed is called to rubbed. B. The last sound of rub should be pronounced as d. D. After all vowels, because all vowels are automatically voiced in English, e.g., star plus ed, starred. Ha. The last sound of star is a vowel sound, so ed should be pronounced as d. Id after the sound t and d, e.g., want plus ed is called to wanted. T, the last sound of want, is a plosive, just as the sound to be added, so ed should be pronounced as ed. Now, let us look at a table indicating which of the three options should be used in particular context. Add T after any verb that ends with any of the sounds below. Add D after any verb that ends with any of the sounds below. Add ID, id after any of the sounds below. Voiceless consonants, voice consonants. Vowels, all vowels are automatically voiced. These sounds are the same as T and D in pronunciation. Voiceless consonants. P, K, F. Voice consonants. B, G, V, Ch, M, N, ing, L. Vowels. All vowels are automatically voiced. Long I, E, A, J, A, U. These sounds are the same as T and D in pronunciation. T, D. Practice with the following words. T, tipped, coughed. Summary. We have discussed in this study section that no two languages string words together the same way, and that no language strings words together arbitrarily. There are phonotactic constraints on the organization of phonemes in languages. In this case, we are dealing with English, and we have discussed the complex syllable structure of English, which makes consonant clusters possible, but within specific phonotactic constraints, rules. We have also discussed that accidental gaps are possible. Words in a language that take two. We have also discussed that accidental gaps are possible words in a language that are not words of that language. They are words that obey the rules guiding how sounds are strung together in that language. In this case, the English language, we discuss English consonant clusters and their phonotactic constraints and other sequencing rules that are obeyed by users of English. An English word beginning with the word she must be followed by a vowel. Therefore, we have church, change, challenge, etc. The sound I and R in brackets must be followed by vowels when they occur initially, e.g. liver, river, ruse, lost, etc. And the sound ing in brackets must not begin an English word. It can only occur initially and finally. Afterwards, we discuss consonant clusters and silent letters in English, and the challenges non-native speakers such as Nigerians have with them. We should not forget the pronunciation of English plural forms of the nouns s, es, and verb forms that require s, es, as well as the past tense morphemes d and ed. End of study section 2. Thanks for listening.